Well, Top 10 Cheerleaders just squeaked out a victory over Top 10 cactus-themed characters on my most recent poll at the time of this video's release, so it's time to look into the realm of fiction for the greatest cheerleaders. Now, how do I introduce such a topic? 2, 4, 6, 8, who do we appreciate?
Me.
Come on, Judgment Meter, you gotta perk up. We're going with a cheerleader theme today.
Let me have my tea before we do this.
What do you mean? You're naturally full of pep.
Oh god, that's just an act.
With that attitude, we'll never make Cheer Squad.
Then let's never make Cheer Squad.
But why?
Because Cheer Squad isn't cool.
But my 90s TV and movie cool person handbook said it was. What is cool then?
Sleeping in my bed.
Regardless, these characters have the spirit and gymnastics abilities to entertain the masses as they encourage their team onwards to victory, along with a character arc if they're in the right media. We'll be judging these cheerleaders on those factors and how they can relate cheerleading to their life outside the field, whether they save the day or try to take over the world with their acrobatics and invigorating chants. Also, if they have pom-poms, I guess. And of course, joining me is my co-host, Judgment Meter, who will help me show why these cheerleaders are important to any sports team or high school-centric plotline.
I don't want to go back to high school.
I thought you were a big fan of the prom.
That's just because I wanted a corsage and to relive my youth.
Most people would still say you're living in your youth.
Only for the next 5 years.
But you're 27 now, why is 32 suddenly old?
Do with that what you will.
I think I'll use it as a weird segue to start the list. These are the top 10 cheerleaders. Number 10, Brittany from Daria. I hope you weren't expecting every cheerleader on this list to have some extravagant life.
Well, she doesn't have superpowers, but she does what she can to get by.
Despite the fact that she's a comedic take on the popular girl cheerleader archetype that's prevalent in high school storylines, she's not a bad person. She regularly interacts with Daria and likes her as an almost friend. She knows that she can trust Daria to help her with life problems or as some sort of confidant. Brittany, though, is not very bright, so she openly shares her thoughts about how Daria is unpopular or just a brain right to her face, which never bothers Daria because she doesn't need self-assurance.
Daria is Brittany's one tie to the real world.
I don't know, Brittany attempted to scheme on her own once when she thought her boyfriend was cheating on her with Daria, even though they were just working on a science project.
Brittany lives in her head.
I like when Daria and Brittany get along. They're weird parallels of each other, where they have similar hearts but vastly different interests. Like, Daria would never question where glitter comes from like how Brittany does, and Daria would never throw a house party like Brittany, but Brittany tends to surprise us by inviting Daria despite them being in different clique groups just because she appreciates her so much.
Brittany is Daria's one tie to the real world.
Because she's the only student who puts on social events and invites Daria?
They need each other.
Huh, I guess they do have some sort of unexpected yin and yang relationship between them. They probably do have some things in common.
Breathing.
And to cap off her archetype as the head cheerleader, she's dating Kevin, the quarterback of the football team. While their relationship is shown to be rocky, and he's very unattentive, and what's a nice thing I can say about him?
He has no redeeming quality.
So we're just gonna end this entry by laughing at and trashing her relationship?
Aww.
Number 9, Tiffany from Rival Schools. Because it's one of my lists, of course I had to include a fighting game cheerleader. However, there is a severe lack of cheerleaders in non-licensed fighting games, so Tiffany was the best option by default. I like that she replaces her pom-poms with boxing gloves to hit harder than those balls of fluff ever could. She still provides good support by healing her ally, but she bypasses that whole cheer aspect of her character by just giving a kiss. The sequel game gave her a more traditional cheerleader outfit that you'd see in professional football, but regardless of which Tiffany you look at, it's pretty obvious that she hails from North America.
She's Canadian.
Highly doubtful. Try again.
American. It says American. Just look at those pants.
She's not wearing any pants.
Socks. Knee-highs. Look at that underboob. Oh my. The phone is ringing.
Number 8, Ori Koryo the Pokemon.
Like a Norio.
But this bird is not a cookie, it's a cheerleader when found at the right flower. Each of its forms is based on a style of dance, with the electric form being the pom-pom cheerleader form. This bird just looks happy to be alive.
They're so cute.
It can learn Helping Hand, which is obviously essential for any cheerleading Pokemon. There's even an episode of the anime when Plusle and Minun go to a cheerleading camp where the teacher claims he's using old-fashioned cheering, but is actually filling his rally drums with Pokemon that know Helping Hand. Even though that guy's a cheater for using a move and not being a direct participant in the battle, he at least furthers my claim that Helping Hand is the industry's finest for motivational Pokemon moves. As for Ori Koryo, it also uses its cheerleading skills for offense. It attacks with some old-fashioned backhands, using its pom-poms as pom-poms. I'm sorry, that pun was bad even for me. The point is, be wary of its wings.
He looks pissed. Don't mess with me, I'll pom-pom you to death. Bash, bash, slap, slap, die. I said that. No, nice bird.
And naturally, being an electric type, it can channel lightning through its pom-poms. That's like a Master Roshi attack right there.
Poor birdie.
They're both birds.
Poor Rowlet.
Additionally, Ori Koryo can use its cheer to make the opponent tired, but for a cheerleader, isn't that a sign that you're doing an inferior job? The cheer that's supposed to hype everyone up just puts them to sleep. I won't question your motives. Number 7, all the cheerleaders from the Bring It On movies. Just every cheerleader as a single composite character entry. It was a juggernaut movie franchise in the 2000s about cheerleaders doing cheer competitions and such. We got a new cast in every movie, since the only real connecting theme in each one was Cheer Squad.
Just bring it on again, bring it on all or nothing. Am I right?
How could you forget the classic Bring It On, in it to win it and bring it on, fight to the finish, which sounds like it should be the end for such a prolific franchise, but Universal knew that after 8 years, the world would be foaming at the mouth for a continuation of the Bring It On series, not knowing what they were missing. It was revived in 2017 with Bring It On worldwide #CheerSmack, because the hashtag shows that we're in the modern age of Bring It On.
Oh my, I'm so sorry. I think there's a current Bring It On TV series.
No, you're thinking of the musical from the early 2010s, which held over the masses to give them their Bring It On fix while the franchise was in hibernation at the time. Still, a TV show would be yet another way to immortalize this series further than even the novel adaptation did. Number 6, Juliet Starling from Lollipop Chainsaw.
Ooh!
Juliet is one of my co-hosts' favorite characters in gaming, but what makes her so great?
Everything from the chainsaw to the pigtails to the little cute skirt. Man, she's cool.
But what about the lollipop?
Take it or leave it.
Besides her physical observational traits, the self-aware campy nature of Lollipop Chainsaw made Juliet a likable character in a world that paid tribute to the B-movie zombie titles that ran free in the 1980s and were revived in the late 2000s. This game was released when zombie movies and games were saturating the market. However, Juliet having the typical Valley Girl "that really sucks" or "ew, zombies" reaction to the impending doom was a nice chance to poke fun at the incredulous plotlines in the genre.
She's sassy like Buffy.
Don't mention characters by name that are going to appear on the list later.
Whoops.
Juliet caps off her parody by using the ungraceful yet effective chainsaw, combined with her delicate cheerleading moves that magically materialize pom-poms. You can even appreciate that she's not shallow, since she stays with her boyfriend even though she has to cut off his body from the neck down so he can survive a zombie bite. He's fine, his head stays alive. Don't worry, it's magic. Number 5, Toni Basil, singer of the song Mickey. You know that 80s one-hit wonder that goes, Mickey, you're so fine, you blow my mind, hey Mickey? That reached number 1 on a few top hit music charts in 1982 in various countries. My point? I don't know, but it may have shown the public that they never knew that they needed a cheerleader chant with a catchy tune in the background on the radio. Toni was a former cheerleader who told her record label, "Hey, I'm gonna do my old cheer routine for a song on this album," and they were like, "That sounds like a bad idea, and it's gonna make you lots of money." I mean, that sounds like a great idea. While I jest, her producers had no faith in this song since it seemed like too much of a novelty, which is evident by the music video looking like it has a budget of 3 toothpicks and a sardine.
I thought they were all supposed to be high school students, but they look a lot older than I thought they'd be.
What do you mean? They're just typical high schoolers, 35-year-old high schoolers. Usually here I'd comedically break down the events in the music video, but it's just a massive cheer routine in a white void, like she's instructing some 80s workout VHS. VHS.
I would do that. I would do the workout tapes and comment on them while doing them, because that's what I do.
Before this song gave Toni a true 15 minutes of fame, she had smaller parts in many movies, ranging from classics like 5 Easy Pieces to shameless B-movies like Slaughterhouse Rock and Village of the Giants.
He is all up in those breasts.
So even though Mickey was the peak of Toni Basil's mainstream image before going back to the behind the scenes of the music and movie industry, she can still laugh her way to the bank with all the checks this song has written her, past and present.
Wish I had checks. Wish I had money.
Number 4, Amy from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Also Buffy from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So Judgment Meter, you said Juliet Starling is like Buffy, but what does Buffy do better?
Instead of hunting zombies, she hunts everything.
Oh, I was expecting you to say that she was having some existential crisis about the struggles of being a cheerleader and a demon hunter, or something like that.
She just wants to be a normal cheerleader, but she can't, because she has to slay demons. Demons!
Thank you. That was the award-winning dialogue I was hoping for. Buffy was only on the cheer squad in episode 3 of the series, but it was a big episode introducing us to witchcraft and Amy. Amy becomes a bigger player later in the series, but here she was just a girl hopeful to make the squad, who's also a witch that's sabotaging the other cheerleaders so she can become head cheerleader like her mom was. However, through the power of body swap, it turns out Amy is in her mom's body and her mom is in Amy's body, meaning Amy's mom is actually the person we thought was Amy this whole time and has been the true villain. That may sound confusing, but the point is, Amy's mom was in Amy's body doing witch stuff as a cheerleader, like introducing her powers by turning a girl's pom-poms into fire. While we may not see much of the cheer squad for the rest of the series, all in all this was a cool episode. Number 3, Mariko from Ranma 1/2. I was conflicted about Mariko since she has some of the most unique skills for a cheerleader, but she has the unfortunate circumstance of being in a season 7 episode. This was the last season of Ranma 1/2 when the storylines just did not feel as sharp, either lacking the classic charm or relying on former one-off characters returning. It still had some of my favorite episodes though. Mariko's 2-part episode was one of the better ones of the season, but it probably would have benefited more if it was produced in an earlier season.
It was a good episode. It wasn't a funny episode. I really liked it because Ranma said that he loved Akane, and everyone else heard it too, even though he didn't own up to it. And who doesn't love when anybody beats up Kuno, especially Akane?
So you're saying Mariko had no reason in why you liked this episode? Mariko's pretty cool even if she is despicable. She's introduced by sniping the entire girls' volleyball team with a baton to give her own team the advantage. Then when Ranma attempts to seek vengeance for Akane, she holds nothing back. Since Mariko has a crush on Kuno, the resident creepy star student who's in love with both the protagonists, she sabotages her own team with poison sandwiches so Kuno could have the advantage. Mariko is great at her craft and will cheer on anyone she needs to, but loyalty is nothing to her if it's in the way of what she wants. When Mariko fights with girl form Ranma, she starts pulling out some Dragon Ball attacks by turning her baton into a Nyoibo, or power pole, and having the other cheerleaders combine their pom-poms to form a Kinto-un, or flying nimbus, for her to stand and travel on. In reality, this is likely intending to reference Journey to the West, but I wouldn't have known anything about Journey to the West if Dragon Ball didn't exist, so my mind automatically defaults to her referencing Goku. When Akane tries beating Mariko on her own stage, the other cheerleaders try dragging her off the imitation nimbus like zombies emerging from the ground. Mariko also has a Sonic the Hedgehog roll with giant pom-poms and can turn them into spike balls. Her final ability is a parody of mind control, where she takes an unconscious body and works them like a puppet with her batons. It was sort of a sure, why not moment. While there's a lot more I could say about some important events this episode, I won't let it take away from Mariko's fighting prowess and the fact that she's mastered her craft so much that she just prances around casually cheerleading.
Does anyone ever casually cheer? Well, she does it casually, but no one just casually cheerleads. Like, you can casually walk or like casually sit down places, but she does it like it's a regular activity. But it's not, because that's weird. That's a nice picture. She does it in a murderous way.
Number 2, Kim Possible from Kim Possible. She's your basic average girl, and she's here to save the world. You can't stop her because she's Kim Possible. Can I just quote the rest of the theme song for this entry?
Yeah.
I like that the reason Kim's good at the action and espionage needed for her missions is explained because of her background as a cheerleader. We see in X-Men Origins Kim Possible that she has a natural talent for cheerleading, making the squad when the odds were against her. Later, when we saw how she got her secret agent gig from an accidental life-saving service call on her babysitting website, she was able to save some guys by essentially doing her cheer routine to avoid all the danger in a room full of lasers. While the show did not root itself in realism, it was a logical way to explain how this basic average girl had the skills to get a start in crime fighting. Beyond that, Kim's cheerleading was a general part of some plot lines, usually being the normal school-themed activity to contrast whatever grand mission Kim had to take care of. Though on occasion, it did have a bigger part of the plot. I find the rivalry with fellow cheerleader Bonnie to be well written because she feels like Kim's equal, and her general smugness could be combated with Kim's own stubbornness. This could have easily gone into cliches where Kim loses her mojo whenever Bonnie's around, but I think the grandeur involved with how they'd both try to outdo each other was pretty funny. Though the one cliche the series has done with their rivalry was have an episode where they literally get stuck together, which is fun for everyone except those directly involved. When looking at the greatest cheerleaders in fiction, there was a common thread among some of the strongest: world-saving hero, world-saving hero, world-saving hero. But was there a cheerleader who broke this trend? Well, yes, Mariko, but I want someone more sinister, more out for themselves than even her. She may have only been a one-off character in a 13-episode series with the least amount of screen time of everyone on this list, but I found an evil, powerful cheerleader that just felt right to me as the top pick. Number 1. Queen Barbie from Panty and Stocking with Garter Belt. In episode 2A of Panty and Stocking, the two angels go undercover as high schoolers to find a ghost masquerading as a student. Besides parodying the cliche high school hierarchy that Panty and Stocking rip apart, Queen Barbie is the obvious ghost. When Panty and Stocking push Barbie to her wit's end by taking away all of her attention, she plans an all-out assault against them. You see, she's not just the head cheerleader, she's the queen bee, as in the term for a leader of a certain clique group, usually seen in high schools. The entire school is supposed to admire and adore Barbie, but she's the queen bee for a reason other than her beauty and manipulative skills.
Yeah, and really big hair. She has a beehive! That's funny.
I'm glad you're amused at that revelation.
That's funny.
Unlike other fighting cheerleaders that use chants and acrobatics, Barbie uses her literal queen bee powers to have the rest of the cheer team and the football team fight on her behalf. However, she does this by mind-controlling everyone with bee ghosts. Also, the reveal of her being a ghost where she has the other cheerleaders toss her in the air as she transforms into the bee cheerleader ghost woman was pretty cool. After taking care of the mind-controlled students, we get a short but wonderful fight where Barbie throws at all of the bees in an attempt to stop Panty and Stocking, but to no avail. Overall, while this may have been a short appearance, Queen Barbie was a great 10-minute spoof on the head popular girl cheerleader plotline that we've seen in TV shows and movies, and stuck out in our heads as the top cheerleader in fiction. So what did you think? Which of these cheerleaders would you recruit for your cheer squad? And which fictional cheerleaders did I not discuss that deserve a spot on this list? We know there are a lot of them, so let us know in the comments. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and we will see you in the next video.